All right, cool. So what I want to talk to you about tonight or today, whenever you're listening, is Evergreen strategy session funnels. Okay, so let's just talk about what this means, right? So a strategy sessions, hopefully everyone knows about what that is, right? Hopefully everybody knows what a strategy session is. And so if not, let me just catch up there with what that is. Hello, we've got some other people joining us. Welcome, welcome. So strategy session and what that is. Strategy session is where you are, let's catch that here. And let's make sure everyone who comes in is muted. How about that too? All right, perfect. We will just do that. Allow participants to unmute themselves. Yes, how about that? Okay, cool. We're playing with new software here, so we might have to keep playing with that. But a strategy session. So the purpose of a strategy session is to have a conversation with your prospect so that you aren't just immediately jumping into, so I don't like the word sales call. It's not a sales call, and it's not that sort of sleazy thing that you do when you first meet somebody and you might get the inkling that, oh, they should be a client. No, it's a strategy session. In my definition of this is really a conscious conversation with somebody. It's usually about 30 minutes to an hour long conversation if you're doing it right. So let's just destroy all the judgment that just brought up for you. But in my experience, when I have these conversations, and even though I've been doing them for about 5 years now, my coach can do them in, he says 15, 20 minutes. I tend to take a lot longer to do it. And that's just, me sorting out kind of what's going on in my own head as I have them. But ideally, a strategy session, a discovery session, is the point of it is to discover a couple different things. What somebody wants. We start with that big picture, okay? Because you can't help somebody get to an unclear destination. You really do need to be clear with them, and they need to be able to be clear with you. And this is the biggest challenge that most people have who aren't closing people on sales conversations is they don't get the person clear on what they really want. So if the person comes to you with this nebulous sort of, I want to make 6 figures, or, I want to work less, you really have to get them clear about what that looks like in this reality, meaning numbers in a checkbook, money being deposited into their account, and emotionally, because everything we do in life is going to be justified by the emotions, or it's going to be created or not created in this reality based on the emotions that we have about it, our belief in the fact that we can or can't do it. So somebody might want to lose 100 pounds, and unless you help them get tapped into their why they want to lose 100 pounds, and they're clear that that why is what they want, they're never going to do whatever it is that they're coming to you for. So this is where, for me, I stop the conversation a lot of times with prospects because they're not clear about what it is. And so if I just spend that time with them and help them get clear about what they really want, then everything kind of changes. So really taking away your own opinion about how something has to happen. So what do they want and why do they want it should be your first 2 questions in the sales conversation or strategy session conversation. And then why don't they have it? Helping them get really clear about their own mindset hang-ups, their own strategic challenges and misappropriations for how things have to align, and then their tactical problems. What do they not know how to do? Because if they don't understand the basics and the fundamentals of whatever it is that you're teaching them, they're going to need to learn that to get to where they want to go, right? So from there, you're then pulling together, so okay, are you willing to do what it takes to get what you want? Is what I have to offer what you are looking for and what you feel like would help support you in getting from where you are to where you want to be, okay? So that in a nutshell is what a strategy session is. Now, if this is a conversation that you're not really, really good at, I'd suggest that you reach out to me and we have a conversation. I have an upcoming sales program where I'm teaching that conscious conversation, and we're really diving into the psychology, the emotional psychology about why people buy and how to really sort out how to get them to buy from you or to co-create that outcome that you're looking to have with somebody. So with that, okay, so the understanding of sales strategy sessions, what they are, let's talk about when we would have them, okay? Now, ideally, you want to be having the question, what do you want, with everybody. I mean, it's a constant conversation I have with my spouse. It's a constant conversation I have with the kids, right? Because they want dessert. Cool. Why do you want dessert, right? Is it, I'm checking in with them because is it an emotional need that you have to have this now? Or is it some just sort of preconceived decision that every time we eat, we must have dessert? Or is there something special that you want? And then we can sort out okay, what's the next step, right? So everybody in your life, you can be practicing having these conversations with, staying in the question about it. So with that, though, whatever the prospects are, so I'll call somebody up who's bought something from me, or I'll get on the phone with somebody, and really anytime anybody talks to you about what they don't want, it should be like a flashlight, bells, whistles, fire alarms going off of there's contrast here. There is something available to them that they can pivot. They know clearly what they don't want. Now your job is to see if you can get them to move into well, what do they want instead? Now, a lot of people in this reality are addicted to drama. They're addicted to trauma. And so they really would just rather stick in the muck of whatever is going on for them and milk it for, there was a cute meme the other day, are you milking this moment for, I think Donna shared it, and I'm probably getting it wrong as I'm talking about it, but like, are you milking the moment something happened to you? Or are you like turning that into something even bigger? Or are you just like, okay, that was 5 seconds of my life that sucked. Well, let's move on and find something better. Right? So Donna, I'll have to share that meme again. She's at, oh, was it a bad 5 minutes or have you been milking it all day? Yeah, right? So whatever is happening in your life. But if you can get the person to shift from what do they not want to what do they want, then you can get them into this conversation of, okay, great. So why do you want it? How can I, what's keeping you from having it? Okay, those are things I can help you with. Here's how we can work together. So ideally, part of having an evergreen strategy sales funnel is to really be in that question, that conversation with everybody all the time, and to remove all of the limitations, the judgments, the conclusions you have about, well, this is my work life and I separate that from my private life and I do this here and I don't do that there. Right? If you are just comfortable being you all the time, everywhere, then you could be able to get clients anywhere and everywhere. And when you kind of don't want, you can shut it off, kind of make yourself invisible, but you can always be playing with that energetic exchange, right? Okay. So another way that we create these strategy sessions is online. We hear about these other gurus and they talk about, getting strategy sessions. I get a lot of strategy sessions from speaking gigs. So whether it's a live event, live webinar, whether it's a live, in-person networking meeting or something like that, I get a lot of strategy sessions from that. At the end of whatever I'm talking about, I simply put out there that if somebody's interested in hearing more about what's going on, we can set up and have a conversation about that. Now, with that, one of the key things that I have found to be helpful is naming the strategy session. Now, if it doesn't feel like to you to do that, it can work for you without naming it. But I like to name it, and I name it around the outcome of what it is that after somebody's been on the phone with me, they're going to be able to know. So mine's called the Show Me the Money session. So I talk about in the 45 minutes that we're going to be together, I'm going to help uncover one or multiple streams of income that you're sort of missing out on. Because if I sit somebody down and they tell me what they want and why they don't have it, I can point out, okay, you don't have, we could be creating money here, we could be creating money there, we could be doing this or that, and here's why you don't have it, right? So for you and whatever businesses you're in, think about what is the ultimate outcome that the person is wanting to have, and see if you can come up with a fun little name to name your strategy session for that. Now, I have a whole page on my website, and I'm going to actually pull that up for you here. Let's do a screen share. Okay, let's share. I think I've got it here. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so mine is called Show Me the Money. So I have a page on my website called Show Me the Money, and I give it a little explanation here of, you know, what it is that they're going to get from being on this call with me. Now, if you would like, I have a couple of clients who have 5 bullet points that they use to use for their strategy sessions. They align perfectly with the what do you want, why do you not have it. I'll be happy to share those with you in the email that goes out after this call. I'll share a sample example of that for you. But you want to be able to describe, you're ultimately selling the fact that somebody's going to take time out of their schedule to come and hang out with you, right? So why should they want to do that? And for me, I've been at this a while, so mine's a little more sophisticated than a beginner funnel, but I have them fill out a couple of different things. I say, please look through the instant assessment, fill that out for me, and send it back to me. If I don't get that form back, I don't have a strategy session with them, because to me, that means they don't take value of their time, and they sure don't value my time, where, and they're not coachable at that point. Like if they're not turning in their documents before they get on the phone with me, they're not going to turn in things when I ask them to do. They're not going to do the assignments, in a normal coaching call or anything like that. So if there's some hoops that you can have the prospect jump through, you might try those out. And you might, sometimes I've used these, I've tried funnels without them as well. But think about what would create more for you. If you're in a place in your business where you have so much business that you can't really handle any new clients, but you don't want to shut off that pipeline for later, then you will definitely want to create a little bit more barriers for people to have to jump through in order to get on the call with you. And I also have them read through the How We Work page. And so for me, and you're welcome to go look at it, you're welcome to swipe it. It's a combination of a couple different coaches that I've worked with that have taught me that. But it's really talking about my philosophy on coaching, my philosophy on mentoring, my philosophy on the training that I do, how I'm, a combination of them all, and then what it is that I specialize in helping people work with. So that when they get through that, and I also mention, here's some different programs that I have, and here's different ways that I work with people. And, in the beginning, I was taught by one of my gurus to only offer high ticket sales programs. And that really didn't, for me, work, because I found myself really shutting off a lot of income streams that I could have. I always had to take care of myself and always had to pay for things. I didn't have anybody funding my business for me. So I always, if someone wasn't going to be able to pay me the high ticket amount, then, if they would pay me $500 or $1,000 or $2,000, that's fine. So look for yourself for ways that, you can have some structure to what you're offering people, but you also have some flexibility that if somebody has a need and you can solve it and it doesn't fit the mold of what you're supposed to be offering, create something, take the money, help them, serve them, and move along, okay? But how we work gives people a structure. And so what that does is it also starts to set the bar for, hey, look, this is my hourly rate. This is what, when I work with the packages that I work with people in, they range from this price to that price. If there's info products at this price, gives them an understanding of kind of what they're stepping into. And a lot of the time, I have people opt out cancel their appointments and they're like, look, you know what? I'm just not ready for that much accountability. I'm not ready for that much support. This is not really what I want. Or I just can't afford this. I'm not willing to deal with how to afford it. And they opt themselves out, which is great because I don't want to be having a conversation with somebody who ultimately can't make a decision to choose to afford what it is they need to totally change their life, right? None of you want that either. So check out the How We Work and see if that's something that would support you in helping to make sure that you get the right people on the phone. Now, the question that we are really talking about today is how to set it up so that you get people to come to this link so all the time, right? So here's what I have set up, and I'm gonna share this over here with you now. So hopefully you guys are seeing, I'm still sharing desktop number 1. Yeah, that's the one I'm sharing, perfect. Okay, so you'll also get a copy of this. I'll email this out to you after the event tonight, probably tomorrow morning when my assistant gets to it. And the reason I didn't send them ahead of time is because, hey, if we do something here and we edit it, I want you guys to have the fresh new copy, not the old version and have me resend it. So I just don't want to duplicate effort. Okay, so with that, here's what I do. I have created, and you're going to get this document again, so you can take a look through it, click on all the links, point out all the links that are broken for me, spelling errors I have, whatever. But hopefully you're looking at this of how you could replicate it for yourself, okay? So I have these status updates that I have created here, which we're going to go through. Let me show you the big picture though. All of these lead to a blog post on my website, which you'll see with this link here. That blog post leads to the strategy session page I just showed you, which leads to that How Do We Work page that I showed you, and that leads to somebody scheduling an actual call with me. Okay, so what we're going to run through in this call now is this process, and then you're going to go home. You're going to take the time to implement one of these systems for yourself, and then we're going to end the call with traffic, right? Because there's a real misconception out there about social media, and it's become one of those things that we feel like we don't have time for. And I've been guilty of this myself in the past because I would create all this content and just push it out there on people, and never really tapping into, you know, what energy do I need to be in alignment with to pull those right clients into my life? What consciousness are my clients having, or what are they really unconscious about when it comes to solving their problems that I need to be able to address with the content that I've got out there? And when you're just starting your business and you're super intuitive, you are overwhelmed at all the possibilities. And so it's really easy to get overwhelmed. But your job in social media is you get more advanced in it, and especially if you don't like people because you're super intuitive and you pick up on all their anxiety and their feelings and their shame and their guilt and whatever, and then you feel weighed down by it. If you're at all like victim to any of that, then it helps to be able to learn how to manage that. And one of the things that I do is, first of all, I believe in the philosophy of 99.9% of the things that you feel aren't yours. And that is a completely freeing possibility if you really step into it. So it means that you're just picking up on the frequencies of what everybody else is experiencing. And so that anxiety that you feel about whatever you've attached to it is really more just the collective anxiety that's out there, and you know, people glom it on to different things and whatever. So your job is to be that joy and that light and the space of awesomeness, and see that other person who's coming to you, see the people on social media as real people. Like I was sitting there in front of my Facebook friends today, the people in the Facebook group. Maybe some of you are on here because of that. But being able to, I really, even myself, get lost in, I have all these connections, but I don't really know my people. And like, you know, I know some of you, and I've been good at holding, you know, this many people close to me. But every day I try to go, how can I reach out to 10 new people? How can I reach out to 10 new people? And where's 10 more people I can find just a little less scary? And where's 10 more people that might believe some of the same things that I do, but maybe they believe some different things too, and they can help me learn more about myself and what I believe by hanging out with people who believe differently than me. What else? What's possible there, right? So in looking at them as people and as possibilities of being able to create partnerships and clients and all of that, just makes it all more fun. That's like a whole other webinar we'll talk about. Actually, we've got the 4 magic tricks coming up next week about social media or about using Facebook in particular. So if you haven't signed up for that one, make sure you get yourself signed up for that webinar. It will be recorded as well. Okay, so with that, we're going to talk about traffic later, okay? Because traffic is the most important piece, right? But it's also the piece that most of you aren't ready yet because you feel like you want to get all this other stuff in place first. It's fine, I get it. Well, I'm going to teach you. If you hang out in my world long enough, you'll know I kind of balance all of it at the same time and gently nudge you off the ledge as we go. Right? Okay, so let's take a look through what I'm looking at. So I've created all of these memes in a wonderful tool called Typorama. I've got a class called Instagram Magic Bullet if you're interested in learning how to use Typorama, word swag, stuff like that. It's not particularly just an Instagram tool. I find the tool very useful for creating all these fun little images that I get to use on social media. And I create all of them, actually create all of them for my clients because I really haven't found somebody who can do a really good job and is economical, right? Because I have paid actually, $3 or $4 per image from different designers and they look okay, but that's $3 or $4 an image, right? And so at some point, if you can crank these out while you're waiting for your kids at their soccer game or something like that, it's a little bit easier to just, multitask that way. But it's up to you. So anyway, so imagine that you saw a status update going out, right, from me on a fan page or personal page or a group or something that said, do you want to have more clients in cash show up as if by magic? Okay. And then the girl in the picture is, I wonder what it would be like to have more clients in cash come to me as if by magic. So these are all wordings and phrasings that I use in my business as part of my brand. It's how I talk about things. So the image, the text is all congruent there, right? And then when we go to this link, this bit.ly link here, I'm going to actually scoot this over because I've already pulled the article up. It's going to take people to this blog post here that I scrolled down on, okay? So this blog post is called What is a Profit Strategist? So I've named myself Profit Strategist. There's nobody out there that I know of that has that name. I didn't want to be a business coach. I didn't want to be a marketing coach. I didn't want to be, a mentor or something. And I've been through all kinds of names of what I am. This is the one that for me stuck, and I would highly suggest you create a name for yourself that's different and unique, because then nobody can compare you to something else. Because if we compare, see what happens in our brains. If you meet somebody at a networking event and they say they're a photographer, then they file you in the photographer part of their brain, and they compare you to any other photographer they've ever met in their life. Now, if that happens to be, an abusive boyfriend or, a cranky old uncle, then you've now gotten lobbed in with that. And the brain is very tricky in that it kind of, those synapses in the brain kind of fuse together, and we have a really hard time separating things out. So then when you say, I'm a photographer and I charge $10,000 for portraits, they go, you do what? My Uncle Joe only costs $100, for 100 or something, like ridiculous. They're doing that. They're giving you that money objection because they're able to say, this looks like this. If it walks like a duck, it is a duck kind of thing. So if you're not a duck, then nobody can accuse you of quacking, right? So find a name for yourself that's fun and different. And then I have this article that I wrote that explains kind of what a profit strategist is, how I have created this for myself. Now, I've gone through, I happen to have a capacity with creating these little systems and these acronyms. So profit actually spells something too. It wasn't just, I like to help people make money. This is how I actually help them create the money. This is the steps I walk through with each of my clients. And so if you need this sort of system creation, this is something we can do on a coaching call or in a VIP day or something like that. But being able to systematize what it is that you do establishes you as having figured it out at least one or two steps beyond what the person who's coming to work with you does. So talk about that. Lay that directly out there for them, because it's also helping them get to know you. If they read through this and then they're like, I don't want to have anything to do with anybody who talks about vibrations or something like that. That's just too out there for me. Then they're not my person. They're not the person who's going to be able to learn and receive best. But if somebody's reading that and they're like, I really want someone who's going to help me do something particular on Facebook and understand how that makes me feel and keeps me stuck, and that's all just, some sort of vibration or frequency or something, then those are that person would want to come work with me because they know that I'm going to help get them in that way. So really, what can you talk about? How do you create this pillar, Pillar, blog post about you, your philosophy, your differences, about how you are different than every other coach out there like yourself, or therapist, or whatever you might be, right? Because you actually are a combination, and that's why you're here with me, is you're a combination of a gazillion different things. If you're like most of my clients, they have a zillion certifications. And if I paid you, you'd just keep getting more, because it's fun. It's fun to learn. And you take this new piece and you add it into your arsenal. So when you go out and teach, you have all these things that you're teaching somebody because you've pulled them all together to help you, right? And then you create something new based out of all the stuff you've been doing. So give it a name. Acknowledge, for me, it's like acknowledging that gift that I was given and acknowledging that I'm the creator of the piles of poo in my life and the awesomeness, and that somehow I put all of it together and have figured out something that looks like success to me and makes me happy. And now I can have a way to shortcut somebody else's success. And that's what you're doing too. You're combining all of that for them. So give it a name, honor it. You'd honor a new baby. You'd honor a new puppy in your life with a name. So how could you name all of these little creations in your life? Okay. So when they get done reading the blog, they get sent to schedule a complimentary Show Me the Money session, which sends them to that strategy session page, the page where I am continuing to have this conversation to them about what happens on a strategy session, and what's going on there, and give them, here's the steps, here's the hoops to jump through, and then here's the how we work kind of philosophy there. Okay. So then how we make it more evergreen is, first of all, and I do have, let's see, we've got some, I am happy to take some questions. So if you have a particular question about what we've covered so far and you would like to unmute yourself, please feel free to click that and just say your name and I will acknowledge you, and then I can take your question. I'll give you just a second to see if anybody wants to talk up. Speak up. Sometimes I say silly words at night. Okay, no questions. Right. Well, when you do, let me know. Okay, so from that, you are creating more than one way to talk about what you're doing. Why? Because from a buying perspective, people are at all different stages of being ready to buy. They're at all different stages of the know, like, trust, right? Because they know of you, but they might not be ready to know that you can help them with that particular problem. Remember, if they hear anything that sounds like anything they've ever experienced in their life, then they just dump you into the pile of, okay, so that's like every other coach I've ever had, right? And so you're wanting to make sure that with all of this content you're creating, you're separating what it is that you do, so that they start to get to know you and get a sense of you. Okay. So in this particular case, this is also how you split test marketing. Okay. I love to tell the story. My best friend and I started our businesses about the same time. We actually, had a moment where I was going to one of her EFT workshops, which EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, because I was at that place. I was at a place in my life where life just wasn't working. I'd been emotionally and physically constipated for 30 years of my life, and had read that EFT was something that could help with all of that. And I went to her workshop, and she was somebody who had all these great healing capacities, but was offering her healing services at a Unity church and asking for love offerings. And I sat through the end of the workshop, and I was like, look, I know that you have a gift that more people out there in the world could know about, and what you do doesn't mean you have to be physically touching somebody. You could totally be doing this online. And she said, well, you know what, you look like you're an entrepreneur. And I was like, oh, I have a job, don't worry about that. And 2 weeks later, I create getting fired or laid off, whatever you want to call it. And she becomes my first client. I start to teach her how to do this online thing, make money online. And she supports me through that emotional journey of learning to ask for what I want, learning to believe that I can have a business, I can create money from home, figuring out what that might be, and all those emotional topsy-turvy kinds of things. And we laugh because we both started off in the beginning with crazy businesses. So hers, even at one point, is divinely intuitive business, is what she calls herself now. And she had a while where she talked about that the divinely spiritual people were divinely broke. And she had this whole marketing message about people being divinely broke. And so when she got people on sales calls, they didn't have any money to pay her, right? And my first brand was free social media help. So I would get people on calls, and they would be like, oh, I just thought I was going to get to talk to you for an hour and you would give me free advice, right? So part of what you're doing with this is you're learning to tap into the energy of what do people need to hear who have money that they're willing to pay to have my problem solved, okay? And so you're not going to make yourself right or wrong through the process, but you're going to learn, if I say things this way, I get this kind of client. Or another thing is, if you've read my book, and if you haven't, you might want to check it out. It's called Expand Your Impact with LinkedIn. The first half of the book is all about just marketing and sales and spiritual marketing and sales, but the back half is about LinkedIn. So if you take the first part, we talk about power versus force. And when people are in the states of feelings of anger and shame and depression and guilt, trying to get them to be happy doesn't work, right? Because there is a hierarchy of feelings that they're going to go through. And there are scientists who have calibrated those feelings to the way the molecules run, like gigahertz and things like that. And so there's ways of understanding, and that's what you're looking for in your target marketing. That's what target marketing is all about in the marketing world, is you're looking to find that group of people. Because if you pull in people who are angry and depressed, then you're gonna have a lot of basically crappy clients, or clients who are angry. They're angry at life, and that ends up being kind of channeled into you. And so when you shift yourself into being able to attract the clients who want more joy and more satisfaction and more ease in their life, then you're going to find you and them experiencing that as well, right? Okay, so in setting yourself up for that, you would then go into, so I have this next one here, so maybe we'll put this on a new page to make that a little easier for you. I'll take a little sip here. Okay, so this next one is, and I try to keep these on separate pages so you see how they go together, what every entrepreneur should know about creating passive income streams. So people who are looking for passive income are different types of coaching clients for me than somebody who wants more clients in cash to show up. If you want more clients in cash to show up, you're normally at the beginning of that business, or you're at a stage where you're still living in a feast or famine cycle. But if you're someone who wants more passive income to show up, then you normally have like the solid basics of your business, figured out. You're just looking for other ways to create income, right? The passive ones, you're looking to set those up, right? So it brings on a little bit different sort of clientele, right? Different things they're going to want to know. And then we have, I'll go ahead and keep making these a separate page. Discover the secrets of generating more income than you never thought possible. And so this one is geared towards me looking at, okay, so is this client really wanting to outcreate themselves? Are they really wanting to jump into the next income stratosphere? One of my coaches talked to me about, if you've ever made $100,000 at all in your lifetime, which I can pretty much guarantee that everybody on the call, everybody listening to the replay probably has, right? You've all made at least 100,000 if you add up all the money you've made from, your whole life. And so if you remove time as the variable there, if you say, you know what, it's taken me 20 years to earn 100,000, it's going to take another 20 to earn 100. No, it's not. What if you could earn that 100 in a year, in 5 years, and then be in the question of, well, what would it take to create that money? Instead of the conclusion of, well, it took 20 years to create this much. Well, you were young then. You were stupid. You didn't know. You didn't understand, right? You know way more now. And if you can tap into what do you need to know to be able to make the 100,000 and be in that question, because that actually also supports the belief that it can happen. All right, so any other question that you have of what's wrong with you that you can't, that's really believing that you can't, right? And so moving from the place of, I know it's possible, now I just want to see how I can make it show up, what variables I need to put together to make that happen, that's where you have real alchemy, real power, okay? So this is another status update to make for that. And then you've got, see, these are tricky because I think I put them on separate pages before and they get all mixed up. Here's how to get focused, stay on target, and exceed your goals without working any harder. Okay, so this one has a totally different feeling to it as well, right? Because this is about the person who wants to work less and spend more time with their family, right? I might also write one for, people who are looking to retire. Maybe you don't need time with the family, but you're just tired of working and it's time to go off and travel. I've got lots of clients who have a lot of fun traveling, right? So they want to spend the summer off in Italy and they want to be able to go on 6 vacations a year, right? So talking to that outcome, so what do they want? It's all about money and clients and freedom, but this is another reason of what they want. And then we've got, I think this is the last one here, you can get more clients and make more money even if you'd rather be hanging out at the beach, right? So just one more energy string I can tap into to help pull those right clients to me, okay? So your homework, I would suggest for you, a couple different pieces, right? So create and play with. There's no real structure or order. You can do these in any order, but you're going to need basically up here, let's start with this. You're going to need hopefully some software. I use TimeTrade, but there's all kinds of Calendly, something like that. There's all kinds of other calendars that you simply go in and you tell it when you want to take appointments, and it then shows that availability to your prospects. So get yourself a calendar tracking system. Then set yourself up with a how we work page. Think about how you do want to work with clients. Maybe you work one-on-one. Maybe you only work in groups. Maybe you only teach live workshops. Maybe you only sell info products, right? At least just put it out there. There is no wrong way. It's also just like, how do you want to get money? How do you want to make money? How do you want to get clients, right? Okay, and then you're going to want to set yourself up with a strategy session page, right? So I'll give you access to a couple of samples like that. And then you want to write that pillar blog post. So let's actually name that here. We're going to go pillar blog post. And it's not the whole blog, it's just a post. Don't want to confuse you. And so that's that article that really explains your philosophy and what is going on for you. And then you're going to create these status updates. So I tend to work backwards because it lets me get my mind sort of focused. But this is your system. This is your steps in your system, right? So one more time here, and I think we have a lot of people kind of listening in the background or whatever, but it gives me a chance to breathe. So you have any questions, you can unmute yourself. And if you are listening to this as a replay and you want to email over the questions or come play with us in the Facebook group, you're welcome to ask your questions in there. Perfect. Okay, no questions. And I got to take a little breath. Sometimes I get so excited about this, I just forget to breathe. All right, now, so you're going to get access to this tomorrow, so you can swipe and, look at all the stuff I've got. Now, the other piece here that we are going to add here we're going to talk about hashtags, and we're going to label that into to our status updates. So how that ends up working, let's talk about that. So hashtags, if you are not familiar, we got a whole Word doc open in here. We don't really need all that. So if I was to go on Facebook right now, and let's see, what can we look up here? Only because it's relevant, right? We could do, if you had something to do with the election, okay, election 2016. If you wanted to, and I have a whole, when I talk about Facebook marketing and LinkedIn marketing or Twitter, any of my magic bullets about any of the social networks, we talk about using the things that are top of mind. And politics might not be the most appropriate one because that seems to create a lot of controversy, but go with me on the example here. But you could talk about Harry Potter baby, you could talk about Shannon Daughtry, you could talk about Gordon Ramsay, you could talk about Animal Kingdom. Whatever is popular, though, means that other people care about it, right? So if you can tie yourself and what you do into what's popular and what's going on, so for example, if I talked about how much money Trump had raised in his election, or how much money Hillary had raised, and talked about what energy, space, and consciousness must they be to create all this money in the world, and that I, would love to help people create even a fraction of that that's possible to do even more good on the planet. And yeah, we may not like the candidates, and you might all have your opinions about it, but what if you could help people doing what you do, right? Right, if you could make an impact. And then I use the hashtag election 2016 in my status update, the ones that we have over there on that Word doc, then that would mean that my status update would get pulled up whenever anybody was looking at that hashtag. Now, here's the odd thing about this. You probably don't spend your life looking up hashtags because you don't know how. You didn't learn to do that. But that doesn't mean that other people in the world, and don't tell me your people don't. There are people that do. There are very tech savvy people. There are very people who aren't even tech savvy that do it. So cut that crap. It's just a limitation. That's just a way to block yourself from, making this easy and having it be fun. But you're going to want to do some research, and I think we're going to have a hashtag party at some point because this always seems to be sort of nebulous for people. But, you know, how I taught Anne how to make $35,000, she did it in 1 month. That same lady who was doing love offerings in the Unity Church went on to make $35,000 in a single month, Twitter, because she played with hashtags, because she played with, okay, so what problems are people using hashtags about on Twitter that if I simply sit there at my computer when they're having their Twitter about anxiety or depression or stress, and I can, you know, have a conversation back with them, and then I could send them an article of mine that talks about that, get them to like me, get them to correspond with me in real time. Then she got people on webinars, and the webinars people turned into clients, and, you know, it was magic, right? You can create that same too, but hashtags essentially are a way to aggregate a conversation, because you might say tomato and I might say tomato, but if collectively we agree the hashtag is this, whether it's tomato for you or tomato for me, it's just that, okay? So you can Google hashtags, a couple different ways that you can find out what your hashtags in your industry might be. There's a website called hashtags.org. It's actually .com now, I think. Nope, it is .org. Yeah, so you can type a hashtag in here. So if we did election 2016, right? Probably shouldn't have used that one because this is going to date this webinar here. Oh well, how's it get any better than that, right? At least it'll show some real strong results here. But it's going to tell me how many people are using that hashtag, like where they're from, you know, are they male, are they female, all that kind of crazy stuff. And while we give that time to load, another way to do that is simply to Google it. So you might Google, you know, coaches hashtag, best hashtag for coaches, best hashtags for weight loss, because there's going to be a string of them. And if you watch people post, let me show you, one of my clients does this really well. I think the whole internet in general, right? We're slowing down for you guys today. Let's pull Sherry's up here. Oh, my friend and her cutie. So Sherry Kane does a good job of this. Okay, so where does she have one? I'm going to show you this, and she's not going to have it up there. Right? Okay, here she goes. Okay, so she's saying, enjoyed this healthy lunch, blah, 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 hashtag healthy food, hashtag healthy eating, hashtag healthy lifestyle, hashtag healthy living, hashtag South Florida. So she's hoping that anybody having any of these conversations is going to show up and pay attention to her. Now, let me say Instagram, big on hashtags. Twitter, big on hashtags. Facebook, not so much, but it is fairly used in Facebook as well, just not as much as Instagram or whatever. But if you're going to do, excuse me, any of these images, you're going to want to learn how to use hashtags. So create spreadsheets for yourself, create documents so that you just have a running list of what they are and that you can pull from them whenever you need to, right? So these strategy sessions that I was showing you, the status updates, excuse me, that I was showing you, they need to have a hashtag added to them in order to create and generate new traffic. So the hashtags are going to be a way for you to tap into new people that don't know you, because a hashtag can be seen by people who aren't following you and you aren't following them. It's a way for them to see your status update in the plethora of status updates that are out there, okay? All right, making sure I go through everything. And then I use Meet Edgar as a software tool so that I can load all these memes up and have them auto post out. I do highly recommend that you're still very active in social media, being real, being you, sharing stuff. But because if you have a baseline of content that can go out all the time anyway, and it means I don't have to think about, oh, this week I've got to promote my strategy sessions. No, I just know that there's going to be 5 strategy session updates that go out on one of my social networks at all times, right? And that keeps my funnel of strategy sessions full. Okay? So, I think that ends up being all of our steps from that. Now, if this is something that you find that you'd actually like some help with, if any of what I talked about today sounds, exciting for you, there are a couple different ways that we can play together. And, to be cliche, the best way for us to find out whether it's the $47 info product or the $100,000 totally done for you sort of coaching program, right? Or something in between, or a custom version of that. The best way for us to do that is to get on a strategy session together, because I really can't help you until I know what you need. So the best way to do that is for you to jump over to expandyourimpact.com/show-me-the-money, right? And I will put a link in your follow-up email with that information. So if you want to take, walk, I would love for you to, do it because you really want to do it, not just because you want to see what my process is, right? So don't just get on the strategy session and go, I just wanted to see how you did this, right? Be respectful. If you want to actually get support and coaching, then come along. Let's have a conversation about it. And that's what I have for you tonight. So if you have any questions, please feel free to post those. We'd love to have you come play in the Expand Your Impact Facebook group, right? That's an open group where we have a bunch of different mentors. All of my coaching clients are in there learning how to be extra social. They are super fabulous people, and they have super fabulous resources and tools to share with the world. But they're in that group as mentors to learn how to talk about what they do, how to share that in a way that gets attention and that gets people raving about the work that they do. So if you want to be one of those EYM mentors, you got to be a client. Otherwise, there's just really great information from all kinds of different industries in that group that's posted on a regular basis. And then we just have a lot of fun supporting one another as well. It's a great community. If you feel like this entrepreneur journey is lonely and you want somebody to be able to come and hang out with, that's part of what we are creating the community about. So with that, thank you so much for being with me. I'm going to go hang out with hubby now. We've got a big day tomorrow. We've got Matthew's 7th birthday and his fall party. Not allowed to be a Halloween party. It is a fall party. And I have my normal Friday copy duties at the school. So I am there really being a part of the public school system and really understanding what happens in the public school system for my children every single day, so that I know how to support them when they come home and how to support them with all the craziness that happens at school every day, right? So anyway, my way of giving back that way is making copies for the teachers so I can listen in on what they say and what they do and how they treat our kids. It's a little shocking, but that's a whole other blog and webinar for another day. So with that, good night. Thank you. Love hanging out with you. And I know you're listening, even if you're, we might have one question here. We're just going to thank you. Yeah, thank you, Nanette. All right, so go out there, do what you love, do it because you love it, and remove all your judgments and limitations, believing that you can't make money doing what you love. And then you will expand your impact. Good night, everybody. Bye.